My name is Barbara J. Wilson, and I would like to present one of my poems to you. What color is God? Does anyone know? Have you ever seen him? I don't think so. I see people of different races. Is that the color of God in all those faces? Animals, plants, food, trees, and clothes has different colors. There are flags from different countries. So I come to the conclusion that those are the color of God. This is Barbara. Welcome to Community Essentials.
Wow, what an exciting opening to another exciting edition of Community Essentials. We want to thank Sister Barbara Wilson for that beautiful poem, and she's going to be our guest right here on Community Essentials. I am your most gracious host, Johnny Diggs, and on today's show, we have some very exciting things to share with you. We have a neighborhood resident from the village of Broadview coming on Community Essentials to share with you some insightful information about her community, Miss Judy Brown-Marino. So ladies and gentlemen, stay right with us. We'll be right back with more Community Essentials.
Welcome to Community Essentials.
Something is happening to me. Something is coming over me. Got me wide awake tonight.
Welcome back to Community Essentials. Again, I am your most gracious host, Johnny Diggs, and joining me on this episode of Community Essentials is Miss Judy Brown-Marino, as well as Miss Barbara Wilson, Sister Barbara Wilson, who gave us a beautiful poem. And as you know, we bring you only the essential information and essential individuals of our community. So let me welcome our guest, Miss Judy Brown-Marino. Welcome to Community Essentials.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you. And Sister Wilson, I must say, you are an inspiration to us all.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
ladies, I must say that as you know, Community Essentials, we highlight a variety of topics throughout our communities. And Miss Marino, I've noticed you being such a involved individual in your community, the community of Broadview, Illinois. Share with our viewers a little bit about Broadview.
Well, thank you for noticing. Broadview is part of the western suburbs. I like to tell people that we're located at the corner of 290 and 294.
Okay.
But specifically, the boundaries extend from just west of 25th Avenue to 9th Avenue to the east.
Okay.
And from the Eisenhower until roughly Cermak, a little bit south of Cermak to the south.
Okay, all right. And some of the activities that are going on in that fine community of Broadview, I understand historically there has been a remarkable past election, and Broadview has its first African-American mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's a very diverse community.
Mm-hmm. It is a very diverse community, and one of the things that drew me to Broadview is not only the diversity of the people, which was especially important for me, but also the diverse tax base. That Broadview has a good mix of residential, commercial, and industrial properties that all contribute to the tax base and the revenue base for Broadview.
Right. And speaking of that, I know one of your keen interests that we were talking about previously off the show, and I wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about and to inform our viewers is about in these, I would say, not distressed, but these very interesting economic times. Our local municipal governments, are certainly keen to find ways to do more with less,
Right.
whether it's federal stimulus dollars or local creative ways that municipalities are finding ways to generate revenue. But you also brought an insightful question to me that I was unfamiliar with, and I'd like for you to share that with our viewers a little bit about the TIF districts within your community and some of the things that you're bringing to other residents regarding the tax increment finance districts.
Tax increment financing, or TIF, is a very useful tool, but often a very misunderstood tool. Many times people think that it means that there's some sort of a tax break to the property owners, which is not the case. Basically what happens in a TIF district is when a TIF is created, the municipality will establish what's called the base EAV, or equalized assessed value. Whatever the equalized assessed value is of the properties in the TIF at that time becomes the cap for the property tax distribution to all of the taxing bodies. And that includes the municipality, the school districts, park district, the township, the county, and everyone in between. All of the property tax revenue that's generated from the increased equalized assessed value goes into a TIF fund.
Okay, all right. And in your community of Broadview, approximately how many TIFs or exactly how many TIFs are located within the boundaries of the municipality of Broadview?
In Broadview, we have exactly 5 TIFs.
Okay.
Our oldest one, and probably a textbook example of what a TIF should be, is where the Broadview Village Square Shopping Center is.
Okay.
That was the International Harvester factory that had been deserted and a distressed property. And not only did we create increased property tax revenue, but it also brings in other forms of revenue such as sales tax, replacement tax, utility taxes, et cetera, as well as providing a useful service, a very good service to the people, not only in Broadview, but throughout the area in terms of shopping.
How are residents locally involved in the process of, because again, it's not a matter of, since the founding of our great country, taxation without representation. How are the residents represented, or do they have a voice or say in the process of how those TIF funds are utilized?
Well, in theory, yes. In practice, generally not. There was TIF reforms that were passed in 1990, that took effect in 2000, passed in 99, that increased the opportunity for not only the residents, but the affected taxing bodies to get more involved in the decisions that were being made. Now, as I say, in theory, that gives people a voice. In practice, however, I find that the other taxing bodies and even the residents don't really take advantage of these opportunities to get more involved. And unfortunately, for someone like me, the only thing I can do is sort of stand on the sidelines and watch and try and turn into a Paul Revere. It's the taxing bodies themselves and the one resident who's appointed to the Joint Review Board that actually have a voice in it. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that concerns me quite a bit.
Well, how best would you recommend or even suggest that residents become more involved in learning about how municipalities or even the other taxing bodies, as you mentioned, schools, libraries, park districts, should take a keener interest as far as how economic development is sparked in their communities?
Well, and how it's sparked in the communities and how TIF funds are actually utilized is one aspect, but also how TIF funds could be returned back to the taxing bodies and go back into the general fund of the municipality, as well as the funds that are available for the schools and parks and what have you, is another big aspect of this. Because there are laws that govern how much accumulation of funds you can have in a TIF, at what point the other taxing bodies can say, let's disperse this money. You've got more than you need there, and it would help us make our bills and meet our obligations. Now, as far as what I would suggest, and in fact, this is one thing that I'm starting to work on now, is that people start communicating with each other and work together to understand these things. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In 2006, the Village of Broadview had a referendum question about having to do with home rule. And a group of Broadview residents, including myself, decided that we were going to educate the people about home rule in preparation for the referendum. So we gathered our forces together. We started talking to people from other communities and other experts to learn as much about home rule as we could. We held a number of public forums in order to share what we had learned. And home rule was defeated in Broadview, 77 to 23%. So I'd like to do the same thing with TIFs, not only with the people in Broadview, but people from other communities who may be interested in this as well, in order to be able to understand what funding mechanisms might be available to help our schools, our park, all of these other affected taxing bodies.
Well, and that's wonderful. And please, if you would like to share your contact information or
Mm-hmm.
other resource information that other communities and residents in our viewing
Mm-hmm.
audience that could be a part of this and find out more, we'd love to share that information with our viewers.